Throughout its history, the IMF and Pakistan engaged in discussions and negotiations to tailor economic programs to Pakistan's unique circumstances. It all started in the 1950s, after Pakistan gained its independence. After gaining independence from British rule in 1947, Pakistan became a member of the IMF in the 1950s. In the early years, Pakistan sought financial assistance from the IMF to stabilize its fledgling economy and to build infrastructure. During the 1960s and 70s, Pakistan entered into several agreements with the IMF as it faced balance of payment crises. The 1965 Standby Agreement and subsequent agreements provided financial assistance to help Pakistan manage its external payments. In the 80s and the 90s, Pakistan engaged in structural adjustment programs with the IMF. These programs aimed to address long-term economic issues. In the SAP's structural adjustment programs often involved fiscal reforms, including reduction of budget deficits, privatization of state-owned enterprises, and trade liberalization. In the early 2000s, Pakistan faced economic challenges due to factors like rising debt and political instability. In 2001, Pakistan entered into a Poverty Reduction and Growth Facility Program, also known as the PRGF, in collaboration with the IMF, aiming to promote economic growth and reduction of poverty. After the September 11 attacks in 2001, Pakistan received substantial financial support from the United States, which also influenced its interactions with the IMF. Pakistan signed agreements with the IMF in 2001 and 2008 to address economic imbalances. In 2013, Pakistan signed a 3-year extended fund facility, also known as the EFF arrangement, with the IMF to stabilize its economy. The program focused on fiscal consolidation, energy sector reforms, and improving tax administration. And then came 2017, and things were about to get worse.
तो हमारे लिए वो मुश्किल फैसले करने थे, लोगों को तकलीफ हुई, अवाम बड़ी मुश्किल से गुजरी और कई अभी भी गुजर रहे हैं। और जब एक मुल्क इस मुश्किल में पड़ जाए, इसके अलावा दूसरा और कोई रास्ता नहीं है उसका।
The number of coronavirus cases in Pakistan has passed 100,000.
मैं अगर पूरा लॉकडाउन करता हूं तो मुझे ये सोचना पड़ेगा कि इन लोगों का क्या बनेगा, ये जो 25% मेरे गरीब लोग हैं।
जो मुल्क की सस्टेनेबिलिटी है वो एट स्टेक है। हम ऐसे चल ही नहीं सकते आगे। अब एक कर्जे ले लिए इतने पिछले 2008 से और 2018 के बीच में 4 गुना ज्यादा पाकिस्तान का कर्जा बढ़ा है। तो हम इस विशियस साइकिल में फंसे हुए हैं।
After being unable to change the economic situation of Pakistan, while simultaneously combating the coronavirus, the country delved further into political chaos and instability. The Prime Minister Imran Khan was ousted from his government, and a new government was formed under a new leadership that promised economic stability and change.
The resolution for vote of no confidence against Mr. Imran Khan, the Prime Minister of Islamic Republic of Pakistan, has been passed by a majority of the total membership of the National Assembly.
Shehbaz Sharif has taken oath as the 23rd Prime Minister of Pakistan.
Mia Mohammad Shehbaz Sharif Sahab is declared to have been elected as the Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan.
A climate catastrophe unfolding in Pakistan. It's being called a monster monsoon, and this is why. Floodwaters so powerful they brought down a multi-story building, washing away bridges and homes.
Unfortunately, just months after the new government was formed under the new Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, the country faced one of its worst natural disasters in its history. The country's economic condition was pushed straight towards bankruptcy, and the country was on the verge of default, once again relying on an IMF bailout and a loan
floods. Addressing the fundraising conference for Pakistan, Antonio Guterres said the country was doubly victimised by climate change and a morally bankrupt global financial system. 2 million homes were destroyed in last year's floods.
Pakistan's economic crisis is hitting its poorest hardest. Inflation is at a 50-year high and food has become unaffordable for millions.
IMF बेलआउट के बगैर पाकिस्तान डिफॉल्ट कर सकता है। ब्लूमबर्ग की रिपोर्ट में कहा गया कि रवा माली साल के इख्तिताम तक पाकिस्तान कर्जों की अदायगियां वक्त पर कर लेगा।
Pakistan's been negotiating with the International Monetary Fund for more than a year, so what terms has it agreed to? Well, the country's revised budget for this year is to raise to $1.34 billion in new taxes. And in the past few days, it agreed to hike the main interest rate to 22% and keep it high for the coming year to curb soaring inflation. Fuel and energy subsidies introduced by former Prime Minister Imran Khan are being ended. The new government says the budget is as people-friendly as possible. But Pakistan is still struggling with its highest inflation rate since 1957. And many in the country say that reduced subsidies coupled with higher taxes won't bring the relief they need.
There's a political crisis, there's an institutional crisis, there's a constitutional crisis. We have crises related to the economy, security, and climate change.
Because Pakistan's financing needs are so enormous, this short-term arrangement can only provide very limited breathing space. And in a few months' time, Pakistan will need to go back to the fund for a longer-term arrangement.